types of tickets, SLU violations, and ticket transferring, how ticket conversation is, and so again, maybe in a next, maybe in a 1 or 2 days again, we'll see once more the troubleshooting way of communications, and also we'll see one example. You take it from one example from hardware, one example for networking. Like that, we take an example and SOP example, and we'll discuss with the voice ticket one. Okay. So it's the basics of hardware. Okay. So what we are going to discuss is about your PC components, like what is CPU, RAM, ROM, BIOS, your motherboard, SMPS, hard disk, SSDs. So what are those things and what is the differences and importance? And another very important one is a boot processing. Okay, so what is the boot processing? What are the step by step in the boot processing and different troubleshooting things at a booting time? What are the issues you will get it? Okay, what is the BSOD? What if it is application is crashing? And different other things are available, including device management, safe mode, system restoration, resetting, image backups, repair options, where we are using this kind of stuff to troubleshoot your system. Once we are completed, then we are also going to the after boot processing. It is we are going to see about an operating system. What is an operating system, and difference between Windows and Linux, and what is the device management, printers, that kind of stuff as possible. In case, so if time is lesser, we spend more time on this troubleshooting, then already it is there in the notes, so we can read it from the notes. It is very easy. So all belongs to the time also. Okay. So this is actually 2 days topic. Okay, 3 days topic only. So we are going to. So in your notes, in your running notes, yesterday also I shared one link, right? This link or no notes, current running notes. So I put all the information. Okay. So till the last. Once you are completed, then we'll go for the networking. Here also common interview questions also there. So there also we will going to discuss. Already I shared that related troubleshooting questions and answers to you. So you can go back. Okay. This is the last one. This is the last point. This is also very important. So I kept in last, but later I will change the pattern. So little pattern I will going to change. Where are we again? Here it is. So people are came. Still 66 only showing 65 members are joined. Anyway, we start. Knowing about a PC hardware is very important, guys. Why it is, whether you are working on a desktop, laptop, so you must know about your system first of all. So basic knowledge. Basic knowledge. You know, when I attending one interview, so when I'm entering into interview, see the gate itself they're asking. But a simple question it is. So you see, so my resume does not contain any technical part that time. Okay, like about a hardware or networking something. It is not written mostly. It is a simple basic. Even if written, I think it is written, but the guy is asking one simple first to getting inside the first door to sit for an interview and test. And first is actually test, then English communication test, and technical interview. Okay. In the entrance only, he ask what operating system you are using, what system you are using. Okay. So that time it is only Windows XP we have. So that's why I say like I'm using Windows XP. My processor is a Pentium M processor. Okay. Uh, So laptop processor 256 MB RAM, 256 MB RAM that time. Okay, not a 512 MB or 1 GB RAM. So he said, okay, he has a idea about a hard, it is computer. Then he let me inside a thing. Most the people will come without any basic knowledge. It is not only that one, guys, understanding of your computer components. And one of the important interview question is what is your system configuration? And hardware related troubleshooting, you want to understand, you must know about a basic components. The next is hardware. It does not mean only desktop or laptop, it including server itself. Yes, physical server itself is a hardware component. Even you want to, in a future, you want to work on a cloud, even you want to create a EC2 instance, you have to specify the hardware configurations there. So most of the people know it because nowadays it is everybody having a desktop. Desktops are a very less, laptops there are having. But still it is must know each and every component. Okay. So we'll see what are those things any and a more specific way. Okay, more specific. The first thing is about this is a cabinet, guys. You take a desktop, okay, the desktop cabinet. This is the box. We call it as a cabinet or chases. Inside this cabinet, we have a motherboard. On the motherboard, there is a CPU, RAM, and inside this cabinet, there is a hard disk which is connected to that motherboard. CD-ROMs, old machines, floppy disk, okay, SMPS, it is there. And outside of this cabinet, we are connecting our keyboard, mouse, monitors, power supply connections, okay, Ethernet connections, like that we are connecting. Even you can take a laptop. So outer it is, so only you are having a onboard keyboard, trackpad, and display screen is available, right? But it's inside your laptop. Again, there is a motherboard, processor, RAM, and your hard disk, right? If new laptops don't have CD-ROMs kind of stuff, like DVD writers are not there. In the old days, we have a DVD writers, okay? Like your laptop contains a batteries, okay? Outside, we are connecting charging point. You can connect a USB mouses, USB keyboards, okay? LAN port also there, LAN wise you can connect it, wirelessly also connected. Built-in wireless module is there inside and a LAN port also there. It is only the difference is form factors, size, I like that. It is a small differences here there. But the basic core components are same. Okay. So what is there inside this cabinets? Either it is laptop or desktop, or we can take a server. Server also different servers are there. Okay. Tower server, rack server, blade server. Even this servers also having a tower server, rack server, blade server. So go to images and you can find it. So this guy is inserting a blade. This is the called a blade server. This is the tower server. This is a blade, and this is a rack server. Okay. So even though there are server, with the different small differences. Okay. So small differences compared to a desktop and laptop to these servers. There's small differences between these servers also there is a differences. But internally important component is processor, RAM, motherboard, SMPSs, right? And storage devices. So servers also contains SCSI mounts, right? A SCSI type of storage is also there. HBA controllers for connecting fiber optical type of connectivities. Different costs, different storage capacities, different processors capacities means server contains multiple processor capacities. Normally our laptops and desktop having single processors, single CPUs. But this servers can having a multiple processor sockets. You can put one or two or multiple kind of processor possible, depends upon the server. This is an empty rack. This is an empty rack. In this rack, people put this kind of racks and plates and other things. Okay. So where it is? This is this rack server. This is a blade. A single rack contains a multiple blades inside. And that is it. It is my point is to make it. It is okay. So whatever it is, your desktop or laptop or you can take a server. It is like as a tower server, blade server, or a rack server. It contains a similar components with the different capacities, different models are there. Okay, different cost also. It is what is there inside. It is a CPU, RAM, ROM. This ROM is also called as BIOS chip or a UEFI chip, and a motherboard, which all your components, including your CPU, RAM, hard disk, your SSDs, okay, power supply, everything is connected through this motherboard only. Even power button also connected to your motherboard only. Okay, your back panel connectivity is like your keyboard, mouse you are connecting. That is also you are connecting to the motherboard. So everything connected to your motherboard. Okay, hard disk, SSDs. Okay, so earlier days hard disk we are using. Nowadays SSDs also SSDs we are using. Okay, in certain places we use hard disk and SSD. I have my desktop. The desktop contains for operating system I am using SSD. For storing a data, it is hard disk I am using. Okay. Okay. This CD DVDs, the CD DVDs are nowadays most of the desktop laptop as removed. Okay. People are not using it is because less use of CD DVDs are become using of these things become very less. So obviously, of course, if you have any CD DVDs, you can use external CD DVD read and writers also available. Okay. Built in also if you want depends upon your cabinet, you can use it. SMPS, switch mode power supply. Actually, from your mains, you are getting a AC power supply. Okay, AC power supply. But what computer required is a DC power supply. So it's SMPS, which converts AC to DC power supply. Your laptop bat charger is there. The charger itself is a SMPS charger, which converts AC 220 or 230 volts, 50 Hz frequency AC supply to plus 19 volts. Look at your charger. There is a, it will show us what is the input and output. Okay. Floppy disk are completely removed. It's so many years back only floppy disk are removed. Okay. Maybe if any puzzle, maybe you've seen in your childhood days, but now in this generation, there is no floppy disk. Okay. Outside of the cabinet. These are internal of the cabinet, outside of the cabinet for different purposes. Like keyboard is one of the primary input devices, a main input device. It is standard input device is keyboard. Okay. Standard output device is monitor. Okay. Keyboard is an input device, monitor is a output device. So where you are seeing everything, if you want to work with your system, so you need something, a monitor. Okay. Without a monitor, you can't see what you are doing. Of course, we have remote terminals, is like a monitor or a terminal, is which is we are able to see things, what is going on. Mouse, of course, my mouse is a pointer device. You can point to anything on your system, connecting, closing, opening. So for easy to operate, that is mouse system. Next, other devices is like a printers and scanners. The printer which converts your soft copy to hard copy. For example, I have a document. This is I want it on a paper. So I have to connect it to a printer, then take a printout. I will get it in the paper. Scanner. So I have a document. I scan the document. Okay. And that document, scanned document, I can put it in my system. I can send through mail. I will store it in my system. Right. So that's how it is like. But these are not input device or output devices. Some people just for input output. So printer is kind of output device, scanner is kind of input device. Okay. But actually there are not a standard input output devices. There are like input output, like speakers and mic. Mic is a input device which converts my voice into electrical signal and give it to the system. System it convert into digital format, whatever the system format it will convert. Okay, I'm giving an input to the, if you speak, I can able to hear, that is through speakers. The speaker is like a kind of output device, but not standard output device it is, but it kind of output device. The voice, whatever the system contains, the music or sound, it converts into the electrical signal to speaker, I can able to hear. Touchpads. So laptop having a touchpads for a pointing purpose. Like a mouse, you are using touchpads for a um, pointing device purpose, like a mouse. Touch screens, like your mobile phone having a touch screens, laptops, tablets having the touch screen to give a like input purpose only. Like a through, like you can want to open any application, you can by touching and we are opening, running, using, right? But with the touch. The touchscreen laptops also become very less now, very, very less. So I have one old laptop that is a touchscreen laptop. Okay. Card readers. Nowadays, most of the people are also not using this micro SD cards. Okay. So because of these mobile phones are having a huge space, 128 GB minimum we are getting. In a newer the mobile phones, minimum 128 GB is available. Okay. And if you are using iPhone is no chance of inserting any SD cards. Okay. Mhm. 256 MB, GB storage we are getting. So that's why you don't require any memory card. That too, we are mostly online type of things we are doing, right? So you may Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, mostly it is online type only. Okay. So we don't require extra memory cards. But thing is, guys, so SD memory cards are one of the thing which is like you are using in your mobile phones as well as your digital cameras to store your photos, pictures, videos, kind of stuff. Bluetooth devices. Externally, I'm using Bluetooth mouse, Bluetooth earphones, okay, Bluetooth kind of connectivities. External hard disk. So whenever you are having a huge data occupied in your laptop, some I know I know I download lot of things to from the internet like operating system images, applications I download it, but I can't keep it always in my laptop because my laptop storage is very less. So I will keep it in separately in external hard disk. Even I want to transfer a heavy data, then I use external hard disk. Joysticks is like a gaming controller. Olden days, we have a kind of joysticks to play games. Okay, to play a game, not this one. Okay, these kind of joysticks are there for playing games. This is a PS2, that kind of stuff. Okay. So of course, this is some are PC compatible joysticks also available to playing a games in your laptop or a desktop. Okay, so it's a joystick. So in the olden days, we are having these joysticks for certain type of games. So where are you? Okay, so these are the components, different PC components like CPU, RAM, ROM, motherboard, hard disk, SMPS, kind of stuff. So in these components, mainly I told about internal and outer external hard disk kind of stuff. We are going to discuss about CPU, RAM, ROM or a BIOS chip, motherboard, hard disk and SSDs, and SMPS mainly. And of course, in the storages, we'll discuss about other things also. Okay. Okay, guys, up to here. Okay. So, guys, um, so just like how I explain these things, similarly, I'm going to explain remaining things also in the hardware because most of the people already they know what is CPU, RAM, and all kind of stuff. But even though then don't know, but listen carefully. In case you don't understand, you are missing any point. Okay, if you want a repetition of particular point, you want to repeat that particular session. Also, we going to explain it. Okay, just for a time purpose, like just go on explanation. Okay, if you have any doubt or question, you can immediately interrupt me. I will explain it. Okay, otherwise, like earlier, you put a comment box, right? So you have in a chat box also. You can put it, what is your question, or maybe, okay, if you want any repetition immediately, also immediately you can ask me. I will explain that one. Okay, if you don't catch that point, I will explain it again. Okay, so definitely it is. Next, the first component is CPU, processor, CPU. Okay, central processing unit. So this actually CPU or a processor this is the chip. You see these chips? These are all processors only. Okay. Here in this picture, you can see the CPU is inserting into the motherboard CPU socket. This is a CPU socket. The CPU is inserting. Is insert the CPU and lock the CPU. Okay. So on the motherboard, CPU is inserted. So these are the how the CPU is a kind of chip only. Okay. So what is the CPU will do? Perform arithmetic and logical operations. For your computer, CPU is a kind of brain of the computer. Without a CPU, it's not a computer itself. Okay. No use of that computer. And CPU is also one of the very costliest component in your system. Okay. And these CPUs, different manufacturers are there. Main manufacturers for your CPU, for your laptops and desktop servers is Intel and AMD processors. Intel and AMD companies providing this different set of CPUs, processors. Okay. Mainly in Intel, so we have a different processors are available from Intel. Okay. So like a Pentium 1, Pentium 2, Pentium 3, Pentium 4, Pentium D, okay, Pentium M. The different processors, still Pentium processors, dual core Pentium processors also available. Okay. So there is a only Pentium Gold processor is there. That is a dual core processor. It's a low cost processor compared to current all other processors from Intel. Dual core Pentium. Like you want a minimum system. Just basic function is required. Like a basic C, C++, Java, Python, like or just simple programming purpose, or maybe for virtualization and like that. Not for heavy multitasking purpose. It is not suitable. Heavy gaming purpose, it is not suitable. But still, it is CPS in the Pentium Gold processor is good. But even that is also not a less cost. It is around 5,000 to 6,000. Definitely, it is there. And i5, i3, i7, i9 processors also came with the different generations every year. So new generation of i3, i5, i7, i9 processors are releasing. i9 processor is very, very costly. Most of the time you don't require i9 processor. So instead of putting money on the i9 processor, you can buy another system. Okay. So really you need to good performance and very, very, very high performance is required. Then you go for i7. Regular performances like you are working on virtual machines, playing games, or maybe data processing programming, i5 or i3 processors are enough. Okay, so i5 is a moderated performance. Cost also difference is there, guys. So i3 processor, okay, with the built-in graphical, so around 12 to 15,000, definitely i3 processor is there. i5 processor is around 20 to 25,000. i7 processor is 40,000 cost is there. Next, Xeon processor. What is this Xeon processor? Xeon processor, mainly used in a servers. Mainly used in a servers, not for our home desktop purpose, because the compatible motherboard also very costly. Not only processor, compatible motherboard also very costly. Okay, Xeon processor, basic Xeon processor itself, a 10 core processor. 10 core processor supporting multi processor on a motherboard, it will support. Okay, so 24 MB cache memory, something like it is. AMD is mainly AMD processor. There is two variants currently available. One is Athlon and other one is Ryzen. In Ryzen also different models are there. Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7. In that again Ryzen 3 also different models are available. This Athlon is like a dual core processor, low level processor, but for basic use purpose. Okay, basic home use purposes, Athlon processor is enough. It can do a lot of works, but still it is not for a heavy processing kind of stuff. Okay, but Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5 is a more moderated and a high performance processor itself. Ryzen 7 and are very costly. Mainly AMD processor who is prefers, people do more on the multimedia, like a graphical kind of stuff, like a playing games, video editings, okay, and also graphic designing people, animated people, gaming, who build a gaming purpose, like more GPU related graphical process based thing, because AMD processor comes with a built-in graphical memory is good, and as well as it also good cooperate with the external graphic cards also, additional graphic cards also. Okay, so it's like a more in a AMDs are like a APUs. Okay, like it is a combination of CPU and graphic cards. Okay, that is the main purpose. But AMD produce lot of heat compared to Intel. AMD is a lesser cost, and compared to Intel, AMD produce lot of heat. So you are using AMD system, so mainly important is coolants are very important. AC important is it. Okay. And other manufacturers also there, like a Via, Motorola, and some different manufacturers are there. But currently in a desktop, laptop, and server purpose, mainly Intel and AMD processors are only used. For mobile purpose, Motorola designed a processor. First mobile processor is designed by Motorola. Okay, even Motorola Motorola processors also used in a certain devices like a Cisco routers and switches use Motorola processors. Okay, we know mobile phone processor, right? MediaTek, so Dimensity or Helio processors. Okay, Qualcomm Snapdragon, that is most famous processor is Qualcomm Snapdragon. Samsung has its own processor like Exynos. Like you buy any Samsung M30 series, 30, 31, 32, 33, 35, 36. So mostly you will see in that processor is a Xeon's processor. Okay. So these are the different processor manufacturers for both desktop, laptop and mobile phones. Check your mobile phone, what processor is in your mobile phone. Okay, Apple also manufacturing its own Apple processor. Apple use two different processors. One is Snapdragon processor as well as Apple its own processor is also there. Apple laptops also two different processors. Apple laptops comes with the Intel motherboards. Apple laptop with the Apple motherboards also there. Okay, Intel motherboards are there. Apple. But OS is Mac. Both wise it's Mac OS. Macintosh. Okay. Next. So there's a different processor. I said i3 processor, i5 processor, 10th generation, 11th generation, 12th generation. They're in different models also available. But what is this processors? What is the difference between these processors? Like you buy a Snapdragon based processor. You buy a mobile phone, it contains Snapdragon, some mobile phone having MediaTek, and even a Samsung Snapdragon 7 version is there, 8 version is there, 7.2 is there, 7.3 is there. So what is that it is? So definitely there is some kind of specification. Like our laptop desktops, So like Intel, AMD processors, any processor it is. So there is a specifications. Here is a some kind of specifications. What is it is like a speed. Every processor having a speed specifications. So for example, my processor, I go to my task manager, click on the CPU, see 1.6 gigahertz clock speed is there. My processor is i5 10210U model. Okay, it's a i5 processor, 10th generation process. 1.6 gigahertz clock speed, base clock speed. Okay. Next, if you see the last one, L3, this is a cache memory. L1, L2, L3 cache memories. So the higher the cache memory, faster the performance. Higher the clock speed, faster the performance. And also you can see number of cores. Number of cores. My processor 4 core. Logical processors are 8 or threads are 8. Meaning is more number of cores, more number of threads, increase your multitasking performance. More number of cores increases, multitasking increases. More number of threads or logical processor increasing in the multitasking and more high performance is increases. Okay. And next one more is there. That is virtualization enabled. So in a processor, nowadays you are buying any laptop, desktop or directly processor you are buying to build your own laptop. So virtualization must be enabled. Why this virtualization is important? You want to create any virtual machine. So like yesterday I showed my Joystick virtual machine. It's a virtual machine. I created a virtual machine, installed a Linux operating system. In that Linux, I installed a Joystick software. I configure the Joystick, right? So you want a virtualization related things, this must be enabled. Even if you know what is a Docker containerization. You want to work with the Docker containers, your system, that CPU, it must be enabled with a virtualization feature must be there. So these are important things you have to verify in your processor. So what is my processor name? Intel i5 10210U model. Okay. So these are the things you have to check it. Speed and architecture and front side bus means your processor supporting what RAM model it will support, what RAM capacity it will support, and what is the clock speed of RAM supported. This point also. Next is how much it is cache memories. Higher the cache memory, better performance. Number of cores, number of threads are logical processor, virtualization technology is there or not. What I doing is so simple. Put your processor name Intel i5. So already this name is there. It is okay. So you will get it from intel.com, your processor specifications. Okay, your processor specifications. Open this link. You'll see. Just put it in a Google, your processor name. Okay, it's loading time. So as I said in the specifications, those things are there or not. See it is, what is the up to speed? It's a total maximum clock speed. It is 4.2 gigahertz up to. Okay, 6 MB cache memory. 6 MB cache. Total number of cores, 4. Number of threads. Okay. You want to know about what is a core? Here you can also find that related information. Number of threads, turbo frequency, base frequency, cache memory. Okay, this is how much power utilization. Okay, next. So total RAM support. This processor support up to 64 GB of RAM. But RAM should be maximum 2 slot RAM. Either I can use 164 GB RAM or 232 GB RAMs. But right now I am having 16 GB RAM only. But in case this 16 GB RAM, I feel it is not enough. So I can add another 16 GB to become 32 GB. Like up to 64 GB, I can put it. So come, that is next. What RAM models it will support? It support DDR4 model. DDR4 model with a frequency 2666 megahertz frequency. Okay. So that is another specification. So RAM sizes, RAM models, RAM slots, RAM frequencies. Also, what is suitable for your processor, you will get it. Okay. So any graphical memory, internal graphical memory of this processor is there. Yes, it is. They're using UHD graphical chip inside this processor for providing display purpose. It support 4K display. 60 hertz display. And if you want to add any graphic card up to 32 GB graphic card, you can add it. In my laptop, we can't add a graphic card. Sorry, I'm getting cough. Other graphical gaming support like OpenGL, DirectX support. Sorry. Socket model. These are the things. Of course, it's a 64-bit processor. These are the main instruction set. Finally, it is support virtualization technology. So you have to verify the process. You know, in my desktop, I am using a processor called a Intel i3 9100F model. Okay, so this is the processor model. Of course, I purchased it from my Amazon. So it is also 6 MB cache, turbo speed. Okay, it is 4-core, 4-thread processor. It is not supporting multi-threading kind of stuff. So I can gain multitasking, but multi-threading means not a fast multitasking. I can't get it. Multiple tasks I can run it, but each task is again slow. But as a performance, 6 MB cache memories. Base frequency is 3.6 GHz, 3.6 GHz. Of course, right now it is not available. Okay, it support up to 64 GB. Actually, I installed single 16 GB RAM in the desktop. And what type of memory support? DDR4 2400 frequency. 2 CPU, 2 RAM will support. And processor socket model. Based on this socket support, only have to buy motherboard. Okay, and 65 watts power consumption. 64-bit processor it is. It is built-in instructions. Of course, it is 64-bit processor. Virtualization technology is available. But if you try, you may not able to find what is the display details. Where is the display details? Not available. Because of this processor does not contain any display kind of stuff. If you see the display support, GPU specifications. See what is a UHD graphics, right? And display related information is that support 4K. But this not showing any GPU. Why? Because this processor, remember guys, F models is a very less cost, but still it is no built-in memory. No built-in video memory is not there. So I have to use a graphic card. Initially, I assemble entire piece. I buy processor, RAM, motherboard, all SMPS, everything. But problem is, it is the problem. So that processor does not have a video memory. So again, I search in entire YouTube, everything. Find out that is this does not support any things. So it is showing a discrete graphics are required. Discrete graphic cards are required. So when I see that one, then I buy a 2 GB graphic card and install it. See, discrete graphic required. Meaning is the processor you are using this model, F model processors, you have to insert you need a graphic card. Yeah. So i3 8th generation processor is available. So 12,000 i5 9th generation. I can put this one instead of this. Fine. That time i5 processor, i3 processor very costly. But this is a good processor. See, if you see a processor, what model it is, 8th generation model, what type of socket. So based on that socket, you can choose your motherboard. 4-core, 4-thread processor, okay, and 6 MB around like 6 MB memory. This is the original processor. So 9th generation, i5 2nd generation, okay, all old processors are available. Even i7 7th generation is available. Any i5 8th generations? Okay, i5 8th generation is also. Cisco 6-thread processor it is. I need a multi-thread. So it's a compatible motherboard. SSD. How much it is SSD? Size not specified. We will get to know. Okay. So it's 11,000. I am not having energy to assemble another system. Okay. But you can try a little older for you want to play games or any other work. Okay. So I'm putting a lot of time. Okay. So these are the specifications of your processor. You have to check it. Okay, guys, up to here. In a processor also, nowadays, most of the processor, almost all processors are 64-bit processors only. 64-bit processors only. Intel, okay, almost all Intel or AMD, whatever it is, 64-bit processors. Almost all processors are 64-bit processors. What is the benefit of 64-bit processor? Earlier days, almost all 32-bit processor. Now, almost all everything is 64-bit processor. Even now, current Windows servers from Windows Server 2008 R2 onwards, all server operating systems are 64-bit based server operating system only. Okay. So what is the benefit of 64-bit processors? Because 64-bit, the instruction size, data size is 64-bit size. Okay. So compared to olden days to nowadays, so a lot of different things are changed, right? Lot of changes. Programming, data processing, applications, graphicals, clarities, there are a lot of things. Okay. You know, there is a 8-bit gaming controller, 8-bit gaming. It's very pixel wise, it is divided. You can't see any clear picture in a game. Very hard to move also. But now it is 4K gaming. Okay. Very high quality gaming you can able to play. So that what's the difference is the bit size of instructions and data is increased. So movies and all. So 4K displays much smoother, right? So it's like that. Every application, different applications are coming with a more complex applications, heavy instruction size application. To run these heavy applications, we need a more RAM capacities. But 32-bit processor does not support a higher RAM capacities. So you must go with a 64-bit processor supporting very high RAM capacities. Even you should use a higher RAM. Like earlier, 256 MB RAM is okay, but now it is not okay. It is compulsory. You have to use higher RAM capacities like 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB. So it is supporting higher RAMs and run your complex applications become smoother. Okay. And compulsory bit compatibilities you should follow. For example, your system, your processor is 64-bit processor. Then you have to install the 64-bit operating system. And you have a devices, that device having a device drivers, a small kind of application. You have to install for each and every device. For example, audio card, graphic card, NIC card, Wi-Fi card, Bluetooth. So different devices, different kind of drivers applications are there. So for that purpose, you have to install the device drivers. These drivers also should be 64 compulsory. And application, better to use 64-bit application because direct compatibilities. In certain systems like Microsoft Windows, support both 32 and 64 applications to run on the 64-bit system because it contains a built-in WoW 64 feature is there, like a WoW 32 and means Windows 32 and a Windows 64. Some Microsoft applications works. Okay. The same for the 32-bit also. If you are using 32-bit processor, 32-bit operating system, 32-bit device drivers, and 32-bit applications. You can use lower bit like a 16-bit, but with a separate WoW application support. Okay, but not direct compatible. And these applications are an operating system when you are downloading or getting something, right? So how we'll understand these applications are a device drivers are 32-bit or 64-bit. You see the 64-bit application, it may indicated like that 64-bit or x86 underscore 64, x64, AMD 64, Win 64. These are all indication of it is a 64-bit application or a package or a driver or some software like that. Okay. X64 or x86 underscore 64. It represents Intel compatible. It's compatible with Intel. AMD 64 is compatible with AMD processor. Sometimes AMD 64 compatible with the Intel processors, Intel based systems. Okay, it can be possible, but still it is the indication represents it is what kind of hardware support also. x86 underscore 64, x64. Win 64 is a Windows compatible 64-bit package. Win 64, Windows compatible 64. 32, so it will show 32-bit either on the that package or an application. Okay, it will show it's a 32-bit, even operating system 32-bit or x86, i386, i586. This x86, i386, i586 all representation of Intel 32-bit. x86 means Intel 32-bit. Okay. Why this x86 come up from 8085, 808, 8085, 8080, 8086, 80186, 80286, 80386, 80486, 80586, Pentium 1 processor, Pentium 2 processor. So this is x60, x8086 onwards. We are using continuously next versions of things without main core pipelining architecture. Okay, non-accumulator based processing. Okay, registry. So we are using till now. So that's why it represents x86 architecture. It become hobby to represents Intel processor and 32-bit. So it's become x86. Okay, and certain packages showing as a 32-bit or 64-bit or x86 or 386, 586 or x64, x86, 64 like this, right? In some packages also showing no arc. No arc. It's not notch, it is no arc. Means no architecture. Means that package you can install on both 32-bit or 64. Not architecture based package it is. Okay. So these are all 32-bit, 64 bits. We say architecture type. Processor architecture type. So this is few points about your 32-bit and 64-bit. The last point about your processor, guys, this is very important to understand a question. A troubleshooting thing is also involved here. So this is your processor on a motherboard. This is the processor. Okay, this is the processor. On this processor, there is a heat sink like this, a metallic one. On this heat sink, there is a fan. This is called a CPU fan. Okay, CPU fan, there is a CPU fan power connectivity is also there on the motherboard. This is for a desktop purpose. This is laptop purpose. Okay, so under this copper plate, processor is there. So on the processor, this copper plate is placed, and there is a copper rod disconnected to this fan like this. What is the use of this kind of stuff? Guys, your processor is getting heated. While you are working, right now I am working, my processor produce lot of heat. Because more heat is happening, means processor is getting heated, it become overheated. Once it is overheated, processor is damaged. What to do? Because processor is one of the very important component, right? Without a processor, it's not a system also. So you can't do anything with your system without having a processor. So brain of your, and it is costliest component also. So if processor is damaged, so it's both ways. The system won't work anyway, and as well as replacement of processor is cost oriented. What is this? Heat sink. What is this heat sink? It absorbs the heat. The processor is producing lot of heat. That heat is absorbed by the heat sink. And the fan, which is provide the airflow through this heat sink. The heat sink contains holes, right? So that through that holes, airflow is there. So your heat sink getting cooling. So it absorbs the heat from your processor. Okay, and the heat sink fan will try to cool your heat sink. Okay, so it is like a balanced. So what is this paste? It is applying here on heat sink. There is a heat sink paste or a thermal paste. So on the processor, you are applying a heat sink paste or thermal paste and place the heat sink on it. It will give a more connectivity, more contact between your processor and heat sink. One is provide good contact, and this thermal paste allow to absorb the maximum heat from your processor to heat sink. So your heat sink can able to connect properly, contact properly, and as well as heat, absorb the heat. This heat sink paste, once it is applied and install a heat sink on it, you need to move it for next 5 to 10 years. Okay, it's a kind of adhesive nature. Okay, but not a very sticky. It's look like a toothpaste only, like your old style Pepsodent or Colgate peppermint paste only look like that one. Okay, it is like a little gray color. Okay, sometimes white, sometimes mostly it is a gray color. Once it is came to not. If you leave it for a longer time, it will get it dried. But if you once you are install a heat sink on it, it is will be like that and won't be dried in a easy way. Okay, next step. So here is what is the purpose of heat sink. And there is a troubleshooting issues also. What is the troubleshooting is? If your system is restart itself again and again, system is restart itself again and again. PC started and restarted, started, restarted. You are doing some work like you are open some application, again it is restarted. So why it is getting a multiple restarts? One of the possible reason. Okay, it's not a BSOD, it means no error, nothing on your screen. Simply system is restarting itself. So one of the reason is CPU is getting overheated. If CPU is getting overheated means CPU will be damaged. To prevent it from damaging, what system is doing? It keep on restart itself. So what to do? So primary check. First of all, open your cabinet or laptop. check the dust formation. Any dust on this heat sink. This heat sink is stable or maybe improper installation of heat sink. No proper installation or a improper connectivity. Okay, heat sink fan is running or not. Heat sink is properly installed or not. Dust formation is there on the heat sink. If there is a dust, you have to clean it. With a simple brush itself is easy. Okay, this type of brushes also. Okay, even a smaller size of this type of brushes. Also you can use it, or cleaning brush are available. Anti-static brushes also available. You can use anti-static brushes to clean up your system. Okay, your heat sink. And heatsink paste, maybe the system is from very long time. So someone trying to clean your system, but they clean this heatsink paste also. Okay, it has happened to me also. Okay, so one day, so I kept my all. It's a very very old system now. It is not there with us, right? So is it's my system that's in my sister place. When I went there, it is full of dust. So I started cleaning it, and I found one vacuum cleaner and full cleaning. All the dust is out, and system is reassembled, and again we started the system. So it is working again, working, restart. So I found that is maybe I cleaned the super cleaning, okay, heatsink paste is done. So that time it is only 10 rupees small dabba box, okay, small box it is. I have purchased it. I applied the heat sink on the your processor and reassembled the heat sink in it. Okay, one example. Another example is when we are working in Pune location. That time there is a system very near to the window. Okay, so obviously lot of dust is came. Lot of dust from so many days. It is so the entire dust is on the heat sink. So one of our students working, so he opened the system, start working with this VMware workstation, virtualization. He open it, and a little load increases. No, when virtual machine started, a little load increases. CPU started giving more heat, and superheat, overheated. Restart. He said, "Sir, why it is doing like that?" I got a little doubt and see. I opened the cabinet of the desktop. It's full of dust. So similar brush only I have taken and clean up entire system, including that heat sink. I cleaned it clearly, and then again we connected everything. We started, issue is resolved. So CPU is getting overheated. What could be the reason? System processor is getting overheated. Possible processor is getting overheated. Okay, what to check? Check the heatsink is properly installed or not. CPU fan is running or not. Any dust formation on the heatsink is there. If there is a dust formation of heatsink, clean that dust. So make sure your fan is running smoothly. Okay, if not running, replace the and also make sure that is your processor between your processor and heatsink. Heatsink paste is applied properly or not. If it is not there, it is a very old system. So it's better to clean up this existing heatsink paste and apply a new heatsink paste also. And so properly applying heatsink paste is important because you should not go with the excessive heatsink paste or a less heatsink paste is also not. So this is about your processor and heatsink and an issue. Guys are okay up to here? The processor part. Okay, today no questions, no doubts, sir. It's almost all everybody knows.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So what we will do it, we'll take a small break. Okay, and we will continue with the RAM and ROM differences about the RAM and ROM BIOS. BIOS is also very important, guys. Okay, so we'll see that one. So when we'll be back, come back at 11:25. Okay.